When we think of a crime scene, we usually picture yellow tape, maybe some fingerprints. But in today's world, some of the most critical clues aren't found under a microscope, they're found inside a microchip. So today, we're diving into the world of cybercrime to meet the digital detectives who solve the most complex cases of our time.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if the crime scene has no fingerprints, no broken windows, absolutely no physical evidence left behind? The whole thing is invisible, just a bunch of data, code, and digital breadcrumbs. So, how in the world do you solve a crime you can't even see?
Well, first things first, we've got to understand the crime scene itself. Because let's be real, in the 21st century, the biggest heists aren't happening in some bank vault. They're happening right inside the digital world.
So what are we actually talking about when we say cybercrime? The definition is honestly huge. It's basically any illegal act where a computer is involved. It could be the weapon, like in a hacking attack. It could be the target, like trying to take down a website. Or it could just be the place where the evidence is stored.
And you might think cybercrime is this new thing that started with the internet, but nope, not even close. The first known hack happened way back in 1834. Seriously, criminals figured out how to rig the French telegraph system to get an edge on the financial markets. From there, it's just been this constant cat-and-mouse game. From the very first computer viruses to massive ransomware attacks like WannaCry that shut down hospitals, and now we're dealing with crazy stuff like AI-powered deepfakes.
Okay, so how do these criminals actually operate? Let's take a look under the hood. We're going to break down the anatomy of a cybercrime and check out the main weapons in their digital arsenal.
All right, let's start with the one everyone knows, hacking. At its core, the idea is actually pretty simple. It's about getting into a digital space where you are not supposed to be. It's basically digital lockpicking, whether the target is your phone, a huge company's server, or even a super secure government network.
But here's the thing you have to know. Not all hacking is illegal. This is a really important distinction. It's kind of like a spy movie. You've got the black hats, those are the villains, the ones who break in to steal stuff or just cause chaos. But then you have the white hats. They're the good guys. They are professional, ethical hackers who companies hire to break into their own systems to find the weaknesses and patch them up before the bad guys get there.
Next up is phishing. Oh man, we've all seen this one, right? It's that sketchy email from your bank or that text message with a link that just looks wrong. See, phishing is clever because it doesn't attack the computer. It attacks the person using it. It's all about tricking you into just handing over the keys to your entire digital life. And finally, we have malware. This is the big catch-all term for any piece of software that's designed to do something bad. We're talking viruses that mess up your files, worms that spread like crazy across a network, spyware that secretly watches everything you do, and of course, ransomware that locks up all your data and demands a ransom. Think of it like a biological weapon, but for your computer.
So we've met the criminals. We've seen their weapons. Now, it is time to meet our heroes, the digital detectives, whose job it is to piece together all the clues they leave behind.
Their official title is forensic expert, and their whole job is to take the chaos of a digital crime scene and apply real scientific methods to it. They are the absolutely essential bridge between the super technical world of data and the very strict procedural world of the law.
So what does a digital forensic expert actually do all day? Well, they're part technician, part investigator, and part legal scholar, all rolled into one. They have to carefully collect and preserve evidence. Then they use these amazing tools to dive deep into the data and pull out stuff that was deleted or hidden. Then they build a timeline of exactly what happened, write it all up in a super detailed report, and finally, they have to stand up in court and explain all of these complex findings in a way that a judge and jury can actually understand. Now, this isn't just guesswork or randomly clicking around. It's a highly structured, very deliberate process. So let's walk through the exact method these experts use to follow that digital trail and find the truth.
Every single investigation follows 5 critical phases, and the order is non-negotiable. It all starts with identification, figuring out which devices might have evidence on them. Then, and this is so important, they create a perfect bit-by-bit copy of the data, called a forensic image. That way, the original evidence is never, ever touched. Only then do they start the analysis, followed by meticulous documentation of every single thing they did before it ever sees the light of day in a courtroom.
Okay, this next concept is one of the most important things in all of forensics, digital or otherwise. It's called the chain of custody. Think of it as an unbroken paper trail that documents who had the evidence, where it was, and what was done to it,
from the moment it's collected to the moment it's presented in court. And here's why it's so critical. If that chain is broken, even for a minute, the most damning piece of evidence in the world could be thrown right out. It becomes inadmissible.
This all sounds great in theory, right? But how does it actually play out in the real world? Let's look at a couple of really famous cases that were cracked wide open, all thanks to digital forensics.
For 30 years, the BTK killer was a total ghost. No one knew who he was. And then he got cocky. He sent a floppy disk, remember those, to the police, basically daring them to find him. Well, that was a huge mistake. A forensic expert was able to recover a deleted Word document from that disk, and buried inside the file's metadata, that's like hidden information about the file, were two little clues. The author's name was Dennis, and it was last used at Christ Lutheran Church. And just like that, the ghost had a name and a place.
Now, for a more modern case, let's talk about the Silk Road. It was basically the Amazon.com for illegal stuff on the dark web. The founder used Bitcoin because he thought it made him completely anonymous and untraceable. But investigators used a new technique called blockchain analysis. You can think of the blockchain as a public list of every Bitcoin transaction ever made. They were able to follow this digital money trail, tracing the supposedly anonymous payments from this massive illegal marketplace right back to the operator's personal wallet. And that brought the entire empire crashing down.
What these cases really show us is that even when criminals think they're completely invisible, they almost always leave a trace. Every single click, every file they open, every transaction they make, it all creates data. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a world disconnected, where every action leaves some kind of digital footprint, is any crime truly unsolvable? Or is it just a matter of time before the right digital detective comes along to follow the trail?